So welcome back to the program. Now, some of the things that we'll have to talk about fast-tracking this future of southeastern Nigeria. The new administration of President Muhammadu Buhari has appointed some individuals from the southeast into his cabinet, and they hold in very crucial positions. First, Labor and Productivity Ministry and the Trade and Investment and Industries Ministry. These twin ministries are very crucial to job creation, domestic empowerment, and local entrepreneurship as well as manufacturing. So let's keep the conversation going with our guest here in the studio, Boniface Chizie, policy analyst. Thank you very much for your time. This part of the conversation is very important. We talk about inclusion, financial inclusion, economic inclusion. That is very important. Now President Buhari has done something. He has put two individuals, about three of them, in his cabinet: labor and productivity, trade, investment, and industries. How should these be taken advantage of by Nigeria's southeast?
Well, I think that's, first of all, I think that's now labor and employment.
Labor and employment. Labor and employment. That was the recasting.
Yes,
thank you for that. Yes. And that's more appropriate.
Yes. I think that's labor and employment. And then, of course, you observe industrial trade and what industry? Yes, trade and investment. Yes. Well, I think that well, it's not just first of all, they have to work at the national platform. So these are issues that are very critical to us as a country, as we begin to talk about diversifying our economic base. And then, of course, the challenge we have, the challenge of youth unemployment. And so you have Chief Ngige, Dr. Ngige, who is from Anambra, who is in charge of that responsibility. And so you say to yourself, what then is he going to do? I think there are limitations to what one could do in terms of physically creating employment, except that you now become do some advocacy, and then you begin to make sure that people realize that unemployment is the greatest scourge. So somebody goes to school, has got some education, even when you've not even gone to school, formal education, and then you wake up in the morning and there's nothing to look forward to, and then you find that you are dependent on handouts and so on from the people. There's nothing that kills the soul. There's nothing that's so demoralizing, than to have that happen to you.
Do you think, so because of time, do you think it is time for the current crop of ministers, especially in those two key ministries, labor and employment, and trade, investment, and industries, to come together and say, perhaps let's look at the different parts of Nigeria, the different ethnic, whatever, environment, and say, look, this is peculiar to these people. Let's craft something in terms of labor and employment, in terms of schemes that could work. Perhaps the apprenticeship that is in this newspaper could be the Kickstarter for entrepreneurial job creation employment for southeastern Nigeria. We could just deal with the agitation once and for all.
You may not deal with it once and for all, but I think that will go in the sense that what is available within a community, within a section of this country. What are the things that culturally, what are they used to, and then you want to leverage on that. Certainly that's a way to go. So, for instance, you have some credit systems, you bring a susu and so on to make sure that issue of lending to somebody and the person defaults, that you begin to cure that. And so, yes, you're right in saying that if for instance, I'm the Minister of Industries, Trade and Investments, I'd be looking to say, look, what are the things that we're going to do? And also, besides that, you're looking at things where they have natural endowments, that is, it's indigenous, to some environment. And that's a potent reason to begin to attract some industries to those places. But having said that, they operate at national platform. But you operate at national platform, all this fellows so that you have a base. So if you're thinking of, whilst you're doing this, you run into somebody who says, I want to set up some business in Nigeria, and what do you suggest?
We've seen some interventions, and I'm going to say this, I'm going to cut in there. We have seen some interventions in agri, for example, in some parts of the country. Direct intervention by the central bank.
Okay, central bank, okay.
Yes, by the central bank and a few others, and say, look, we're putting 2 billion into this. We're doing 20 billion or 2 billion naira into entertainment, film industry in Nigeria. Is it wrong or is it right for the current ministers in the cabinet to say, look, we're looking at Nnewi, Onitsha, Aba axis, and we're doing a business industrial incubation scheme, and we're launching a 50 billion naira or 30 billion naira endowment for those guys over there. So everybody just get busy and get job done.
I think that the issue you might find is that do they have the resources? Central Bank has resources to do that. Central Bank, sits, for instance, what Central Bank is doing, you have a 220 billion naira SME funds, which has been there for quite some time.
Yes, so why don't we just take a slice of that and say it goes to the southeast?
Well, yeah, why not? I don't know what
and just target a southeast industrial revolution plan.
As a matter of fact, that's a national fund. So it's not something that was targeted. I mean, the MFLA, the governor of Central Bank, decided, that let's start, this scheme, what do you call it? Anchor.
Yes.
Anchor Bora scheme. I said, let's go to KB State and take off from there.
On agriculture.
Yeah, agriculture. I would expect that, that's the take off, and then you learn some lessons from that, and then you take those lessons away, and then
do it in the southeast.
And go to the southeast. And you may say go to the southeast and say, look, so in the southeast, maybe we want to begin to think of palm products, in the past, the southeast was known.
Perhaps in the Midwestern.
Midwest.
Edo,
and
Delta.
Rubber and so on and so forth. And they say, look, then do we begin to put in plantations and so on, and get it a bit more formalized and organized so that the thing is commercialized. So that's the way to go. So you are spot on. But then the Minister of Trade, might not have the resource to be able to do that. But the Minister of Trade and Investment, and so on, would certainly be able to attract. Because he sits here and he goes out to market Nigerian businesses, talk to other companies about doing business with Nigeria, about trade balances and so on and so forth. Whereby most of them just buy oil from us, they don't buy other things. And so you might say, look, okay, we want you to come and invest here.
And surprisingly, palm oil is a lot more expensive than crude oil as we speak.
Yes,
that's amazing.
So you just finish your commodity analysis. So I think that you're spot on. I think that's
well, we have palm oil. Palm oil is massively expensive. In fact, if you just weigh that now, I'd rather have a palm oil than have crude oil. So we have palm oil,
but they don't serve the same purpose.
They don't serve the same purpose.
Yes.
Okay. So that's the step. So what's in summary, 1 minute? What do you think is the future of Southeastern Nigeria from where we are currently?
Well, I think that the future is bright. We have to be incurable optimists. I think that all parts of Nigeria and the economy, shall have to be hopeful. We have to be merchants in hope. But I think that we begin to get some action and get some certain things going, in the sense that things will not just happen on their own. We would have to, go in there and begin to purposefully, target certain things like that will leverage on the endowments they have to make sure that we push things forward and make it a lot more inclusive for particularly the unemployed youths in the country.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Boniface Chize, policy analysts and economists, talking to us about Nigeria's economy and the state and fate of Southeastern Nigeria. That's a wrap on today's program. I am Bosin Omafai. I'll see you next time. Do have a great day.